Almost swallow her up, huh? They're telling you happy birthday, Zelda. Let's check if MK answered. I'm not sure. Any mods, you know if MK's on? I don't think I see where she answered me back. Unless I'm completely overlooking it. Sorry.
You guys want here?
Yes.
Oh, there she is. I'm on traffic, but if I'm late, we'll take. Okay, so we're okay. We'll get started, and MK, if she's late, will catch up on her own. Whoa! Ooh, I wonder if that's what I hope it is. I'm gonna turn the dryer off. That just started. Man, I should go find the book, huh? Zelda, your book. Zelda, where's your book? Well, hello, Lucy. Hello, Lucy. There we go, girl. Happy boy. Well, so we do, oh, look what I found. Da, da, da. So we do have a few boxes. Madison's birthday. Happy birthday, Madison. So we're going to just do 4 boxes. Oh, there's our mousy. Because of time restraints. Thank you, mousy. This one is from Jennifer L.A.M. Jennifer L.A.M. And, oh, look at this. Here. So, see that? You two, are you up here? We got a 16 ounce of the Temptations. Yeah. And this is the catnip. Right? Blissful catnip flavor. So cool. Thank you very much, Jennifer L.A.M. Appreciate this.
Right.
You guys sniffing at.
Okay, sounds good. Bye-bye.
You're safe, Barb. Only a couple. Who's that? Write it down, maybe. Okay. And this is from our friend Mary J. R.E. Mary J. R.E. And she's from New York. What do you guys? Oh, what is it? Oh, hey, look at this. We got T-shirts to sell. What does it say? I'm feeling great right meow. I'm feeling great right meow. So we have an extra large.
Mine.
That one's yours. You like that one? I like the color. It matches the color you have. This one is an XX large. I'm feeling fine right now. Thank you, Mary. Mary J. R.E. R.E. Oh, wait, we got a note. I didn't see that. Kisses to Magic, my nephew, and Janie, my niece. Love, Aunt Mary. Oh, I know who this is. Mary. Shirts for fundraisers. That's cute. Yep. Yeah, Magic and Janie. And we have a medium. These will be in a flash sale sometime, folks. We're trying to make arrangements to have a flash sale next week, but plans are not complete yet. Holy moly. So these will be in a flash sale. This one's a medium. And then we have,
You're not hitting the one I just folded far.
I was wondering, I saw something like this hanging off, and I thought it was a decoration hanging
oh,
off.
yeah, they kind of got stuck together. And then we have a large. So you'll see these in the flash sale. I like selling t-shirts. This is how I fold them. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. These will be great in a flash sale. And then we have this box. Oh, this is Amazon. Mary SoCal. No, SoCal. Mary SoCal. Oh, yes, sirree, Bob. We were getting, don't worry, kiddies, you're going to be all right. But we were low on packets. And this is a case of the Whiskas Perfectly Chicken. So there's 24 of these packs. If you can't get a cat to eat by trying some of our other specialties, use this and they'll eat it usually. Thank you, Mary SoCal.
Zelda says, let me try it.
Yeah, you like those, don't you? Oh, you're so sweet. Now, don't fall over. Don't fall over. And we're going to do one more. This is from Mr. Meow, our friend in PA. Oh, boy. Mr. Meow. This is awesome. Stay positive. So we have a set here. There are one hand, two flat ones, and a towel that goes together. So you will see these together in something. Those are cute. I love the gray color too. And this is another favorite color, aqua. Plant smiles, grow laughter, harvest love. So there's two of the flat ones. And one of the hand mitts. And one of the towels that go with it. So cool. Super great. And the aqua. And then we have some more. These are bloom where you are planted, and the lime green. Oh, this is a set of them. These are like those microfiber kitchen towels. There's a 3 set. So you'll see this again as well. And here's our note from Mr. Meow. I am sending for Zelda. You're good, you're here. To open. The items could be used to help FFRC in any way possible. The radio and light should be considered one item. Most respectfully yours, Mr. Owl. Oh, I get it, because is this a weather alert radio. These are super duper nice. And so this will be in, well, if we have other stuff to go with emergencies, we could put it together for a fundraiser. And if not, we could put this together in a flash sale. So, and this is one of those really cool lights that I think it's one where you raise it up and down. Yes, the tack light. And it has a magnetic base on it. Super bright, super brilliant. These are really, really nice. So this does tornadoes, thunderstorms, all kinds of different watches on it. Yeah, so we'll see what else we have, and maybe we can put something together with it. Mr. Meow, thank you. And you know we're still keeping our quilted Northern Ultra Plush 24 Supreme rolls of toilet paper right here for Zelda girl.
We can't use it, but she can.
We can't use it, but Zelda can. So you know today is her birthday, and what a wonderful way to read her story. That, I think our wheels are clogging up. That Cindy G did. Yeah. Here, let's move you back this way a little. little more so they can see ya. There you go. How's that? And I need a little space over here. There we go. All right. So this is a book from Cindy. And folks, I only have a couple of these extra. I'm really sorry. Is Cindy on? I'm pretty sure Cindy's going to be on. She's made quite a few books for us. Different cats, and they're usually resident cats. Hi, Cindy. There's our author right there, Cindy G. So it says, meet Zelda, FFRC's box inspector. In this story, she wants to become an official. You want to become an official FBI agent so she can better serve and protect the rescue center. One morning, while listening to the DJ Magic and D-Man radio show, remember that? She hears a commercial that gives her an opportunity to achieve that goal. Join Zelda and her good buddy Magic as they document and solve a crime against CDOT. How could it be? How could it be? Follow along as Professor Hensley tests compelling evidence of fur samples, drool, well, he has plenty of that, and a paw print, all linked to the suspect. Will his lawyer Vernon be successful in proving his innocence? Stick around as Judge DeRachel presides over the case. Will the jury convict him of his crime, or will this case conclude with an unexpected twist? You be the judge. About FFRC. The FFRC, Friends of Felines Rescue Center, is a no-kill rescue shelter for all types of cats, including special needs cats. We believe that every cat matters. So I hope you brought your snackers and a drink and a comfy chair and kick back, put your feet up, because we've got quite a few pages of this. And it's, you know, I try not to read these beforehand because I like a good story too. I did, Cindy did send me it a while ago, and I did read, she asked me to read a couple pages of it and kind of tell her what I thought. And of course I did then, and I loved it, and so she got this for us. Now, do you all know what FBI agent means for Zelda? Feline Bureau of Investigations. So sit back and enjoy. And this is what makes this book extra, extra special. In memory of, this book is dedicated to LJ, who was a great friend and supporter of FFRC. She shared her amazing talent and loved to make us laugh. A heart of gold and a kindness that extended to all she knew. She left us with beautiful memories of joy and laughter and will be deeply missed. Though you are no longer with us, you will never be forgotten. We love and miss you, LJ. So true. I still feel like she's here.
We was just talking about her. We need something made.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Hi, Susan. Is that the babe? Oh, that's Peggy's babe, or the foster. Okay. Zelda, the FBI agent, Feline Bureau of Investigations by Cindy G. This story follows Zelda, who is also known as Zelda Belda Moss Girl. She is the beautiful but quiet black and white tuxedo that sits on the counter. She also oversees boxes once a week to make sure that they are inspected before opening. She enjoys it so much that one day she heard a commercial on the DJ Magic and D-Man radio show about how to become an FBI agent, and she knew she had to pursue this adventure. One morning after breakfast, Zelda wandered in back to where DJ Magic and D-Man have their radio studio. That must be that extra room off of the surgery room, their studio.
I see the sign up there.
Yeah, that's it then. She liked to listen to them, and today's show would open up a whole new adventure for her. While in a commercial break, DJ Magic played an advertisement. It was about how to become an FBI agent. It gave her an idea, so she grabbed a piece of paper and a pen from Mama Jackie's desk and wrote down the phone number. When the show ended, she couldn't wait to get more information. Hey, D-Man, could you tell me more about that commercial on how to become an FBI agent, she asked. DeRachel told her that he didn't know too much about it and that it was from a company that advertised with them to help sponsor their show. Why do you want to know, he asked. No reason, just curious, she said. She went on to Mama Jackie's computer. Oh, I knew you would get it on there every once in a while. There we go. Onto Mama Jackie's computer and tried to find more information. But what she really needed to do was call the phone number. I need a phone. She went out to the main area and noticed that Mama Jackie left her cell phone on the counter. She did that quite often, so it was her lucky day. She picked up the cell phone and went into the kitty cabana where it was a bit more private. After all, part of being an FBI agent is being secretive. She dialed the number on the paper, 1-800-JOIN-FBI. The phone started ringing. Ring, ring. Good morning, Feline Bureau of Investigations. How may I help you? Hello, could I please get more information on how to become an FBI agent? Certainly. May I have your name, please? Zelda Moss, and I am from FFRC in Defiance. Do you have any experience at all in criminal justice? Zelda? I think so. I inspect the safety of boxes we receive every week before they are opened. I see. So you are a government postal inspector? Asked the agent. You could say that, Zelda replied. I have to be sure of what is inside the boxes before they are opened. I have the best nose in town, she said. So just what is it you are looking to accomplish? Asked the agent. I want to become an official FBI agent so I can better serve and protect FFRC, said Zelda. I understand. So we have an online course you can take to advance your skills. Are you interested? I sure am, said Zelda. The agent asked her for more information and also told her that they were giving a contest and the winner would take the course for free. That sounded perfect since Zelda didn't know how she would pay for it. What's the contest? She asked. The agent explained to her that she would have to document and solve a crime. Count me in, said Zelda. You have 2 weeks to solve a crime and present the case. You can upload your case file online and we will review it and pick a winner. If you have a pen and paper handy, I will give you the email address of where you will send the file to, said the agent. Okay, go ahead. Zelda wrote it down, thanked the agent, and hung up. She sat for a moment and realized she needed someone to assist her with the case. After a few minutes, she decided to go ask her good buddy Magic to help her build an investigation team. Wow. Zelda went out to the main area and placed Mama Jackie's cell phone back on the counter in case she came looking for it. Moments later, Magic zoomed by. Hey, Magic, I was just going to come look for you. Hi, Zelda. What's up, he asked. Can you help me with something? Sure, what do you need? Well, I want to become an FBI agent, so I called the phone number that was on the commercial from your radio show, and I can take the course for free if I win the contest they are having, she said. What's the contest, he asked. I have to document and solve a crime and then email it to this address. Magic thought about it and said, so to document it, that means we have to make a video. I guess so, said Zelda. Can you help me, she asked. Sure, it sounds like fun, he said. First, we need a camera to document the case, and then we need some crime team members. Zelda and Magic thought hard about where they could get a camera when suddenly Zelda looked up and said, we can use the camera in the kitty cabana. Great idea, said Magic. Now that's thinking like an FBI agent, he said. Zelda, you are the head agent, and I will be the videographer and help you as a part-time agent. But we also need a couple of CIs. What's a CI, she asked. They are confidential informants, or someone who works for us who wishes not to be identified. They are important to have when solving crimes because they can be, I thought she was going to fall. They can be our eyes and ears, said Magic. I have the perfect duo to use for that, she said. Who, he asked. Elma and Lucy. They are always in perfect position to see what's going on, and they are very quiet, so nobody would even suspect them, said Zelda. Magic chuckled and said, I'm not sure about the quiet part. They are great at asking for whatever they want, and they would be perfect, but we should go ask them first, he said. They wandered over to where they were hanging out and asked them if they would be interested in helping to solve a crime. Sounds like fun, said Elma. What do we need to do? Asked Lucy. Zelda explained that they would be confidential informants, so they would be their eyes and ears, and that whatever they told her in Magic about a suspect would be a secret. Will you do it? Asked Zelda. You bet. Count us in, they said. We will let you know the rest once we figure it out, said Zelda. She and Magic went to Mama Jackie's office and went over what else they would need. Magic paced the floor and said, So let's see so far. Zelda, you are the head FBI agent. I am a part-time agent and videographer using the Cabana Cam. I wonder if they check that out with Dawn Star. And Elma and Lucy are the confidential informants. Now, all we need is the most important thing. What's that? Asked Zelda. A crime, said Magic. What could we investigate? They both paced the floor, back and forth and back and forth. I got it, said Zelda. We could investigate C-Dot. Oh, he's got criminal written all over him, she said. Hey, yeah, he steals things and nobody can ever find any of the items. Let me make sure that's not a weather thing.
It probably is.
Yeah, lightning within a mile, so we'll probably get some rain.
It's what?
He's got criminal written all over him, she said. Oh, yeah, he steals things and nobody can ever find any of the items, said Magic. There is one thing he definitely stole that he will never give back, said Zelda. What's that? Asked Magic. Mama Jackie's heart.
Hey.
Whoa, whoa. He reeled her in, hook, line, and sinker. Can't say I blame him, said Magic. He certainly leaves a lot of evidence around with all that drool, said Zelda. They both laughed and decided that would be their case. We may need a couple of the other residents to help from time to time, but we would start with what we have so far. Tomorrow morning, we will begin investigating the case of C-Dot and the missing items. Hey, wait, I need a uniform, said Zelda. Yeah, you better get here and protect yourself. I think Spiker has a Sherlock Holmes outfit you can borrow. He has a trench coat, hat, and a magnifying glass. It's not exactly FBI, but it should work, said Magic. Sounds perfect. I will ask him in the morning, she said. Okay, we have a little commercial break to tell you that Cindy G is I'm supposed to talk to her about possibly getting some books. So I will find out and let you all know. Commercial break is over. The next morning after breakfast, Zelda pulled Spiker aside and asked him if she could borrow his Sherlock Holmes outfit. What do you need it for? He asked. Oh, just a little game Magic and I are playing, she said. Sure, you can borrow it. It's hanging up in Coralie's hair salon behind the door, he said. Thank you, Spiker. Zelda went to Coralie's salon to grab the outfit. She went in and Kiara was sitting in the chair having her nails done. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Zelda, they said. What can I do for you? Asked Coralie. Oh, nothing. I just came to borrow Spiker's Sherlock Holmes outfit. Why, did you lose something? Asked Kiara. They laughed, and Zelda said, sort of, but nothing for you two to worry about. By the way, you look stunning, Kiara. Have a great day. She went to Mama Jackie's office and tried on the outfit. She looked very professional. Steve's over there. Thank you. She looked very professional. A few moments later, Vernon wandered in. He saw Zelda dressed in the outfit and didn't realize it was her. He stopped in his tracks and threw his paws up in the air like he was under arrest. I didn't do it, he shouted. Zelda turned around and laughed. It's me, Vern. Put your paws down. Phew, I thought I was in trouble, he said. Oh, don't be silly. You're not under arrest. Well, not yet, anyway. She smiled and walked away. As she went back into the main area, Mama Jackie walked through the door with none other than their suspect riding on her shoulders. Ah, there's my phone. I knew I left it somewhere, she said. Zelda looked at Magic and said, that's our guy. Yup, and he looks so innocent too. We need to watch him closely, said Magic. I'm going to go get the cam. Be right back. He went into the kitty cabana and climbed up the cabana tower to remove it. As he did, he could hear Mama Jackie's voice in his head saying, you're going to be in trouble with Dawnstar. See, I told you. He chuckled as he went back out front. He went over to Zelda with the cam and asked, shall we get started? I'm ready. We need to make a sign for the opening of the video, she said. They went in back and grabbed a piece of copy paper and a black marker. They wrote on the paper, Scene 1, opening of the case. Are you ready, Zelda? Ready, Magic. She held the paper up in front of the cam as Magic recorded it. A few seconds later, he panned the camera to Mama Jackie's desk. As he recorded, Zelda narrated, this is where it all begins, a dimension between here and gone, between reality and crime, and it sits between our imagination and what we know. This is the area we call the crime scene. As we look closely at this desk, it looks ordinary, a computer with a few papers here and there, along with some sticky notes. Many sticky notes. A scattered pin or two, along with a cat bed and an open jar of snackers. But this is no ordinary crime scene. Lynnette, can you check in in June's room? I think one of the cats is banging at the door or inside the cabinet. Maybe once out. So this is no ordinary crime scene. This is where the crime scene begins. Evidence here can be overwhelming and unmistakable. In this case, we already have a suspect. We will just show you his crimes. Follow along with us as we solve the case of C-Dot and the missing items. Cut! Great job, Zelda. Almost felt like I was on a TV show, said Magic. What's next, she asked. Now we record our next scene, which will be the suspect in the act of committing his crimes of stealing. Magic grabbed another sheet of paper and wrote on it, Scene 2, the crimes. Zelda held it up and Magic recorded it for a few seconds. So this is where we have to be sneaky and not let anyone, including C-Dot, know what we are doing, said Magic. I will hide around corners and in cabinets to catch it all on video. We have to catch him in the act of stealing and find out where he hides the items. Let's do this, said Zelda. They went out front and instructed Alma and Lucy to be aware of everything C-Dot does. Watch him like a hawk and let us know what you see, said Zelda. Magic hid under the counter in the main area. There was a towel holding the door open, so it was perfect. In the meantime, Zelda hid under the bench. They watched and waited. A little while later, Mama Jackie came to the main area and went over to the counter to get some broth to administer meds. Magic hit the record button on the cam and began recording through the crack in the cabinet door. Immediately, C-Dot jumped on the counter and onto her shoulders, where he instantly, of course, drooled on her shirt. Mama Jackie took off her mask and placed it on the counter. When she turned her back, he snagged the mask and took off running. He ran by Elma and Lucy, who were closely monitoring his every move. They witnessed CDOT running into the welcome room with the mask in his mouth, but moments later, he returned without it. What did he do with it? Shortly after, Zelda climbed out from under the bench and Magic emerged from inside the cabinet. They went over to Elma and Lucy and asked them what they saw. Lucy said, I saw him on the counter, just watching, and then when Mama Jackie put her mask down and looked away, CDOT snagged it and ran. Yeah, he ran right past me and out to the welcome room, said Elma. A few minutes later, he returned without the mask, so it has to be out there somewhere. Come on, Magic, let's go investigate. You want to read a little bit?
Just a little.
Is it raining?
A storm like last week.
They went out to the welcome room and started searching for the mask. Magic began recording so as to catch the gathering of the evidence. Did you already read this page?
That page. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, this is it. So let me turn the page. Come on, Magic, let's go investigate, said Zelda. They went out, yeah.
Okay. They went out to the welcome room and started searching for the mask. Magic began recording so as to catch the gathering of the evidence. Zelda pulled the magnifying glass from her jacket pocket and began searching for clues. Aha! She shouted. Did you find something? Asked Magic. Yes, I did. She held up several strands of orange fur. But that could be easily somebody else's. We need to have this evidence closely examined by a lab and for its DNA, and then we will match it to CDOT. Good thinking, Zelda. You're a regular Sherlock Holmes, said Magic. One problem, said Zelda. What's that? He asked. We don't have a lab, she said. Hey, wait, yes we do. We can go see Professor Hensley. He's got a really neat microscope for Christmas, said Magic. Cool, let's go ask him, said Zelda. They went back and saw him hanging out with Spiker in Patty's place. Hey, Hensley, can you come here for a minute? Asked Magic. Sure, what's up, guys? We need a favor. Could you check out these strands of fur under your microscope? Asked Zelda. What for? Asked Professor Hensley. Magic and Zelda looked at each other and realized they would have to let him be a part of the investigation team. Well, it's kind of a secret, said Zelda. Cool, I like secrets, he said. Zelda wants to become an official FBI agent, and she can take the course for free if she wins the contest, said Magic. What contest? Asked Professor Hensley. I have to document and solve a crime and then submit the case file to the email address I was given, said Zelda. That's awesome. I will help you, he said. He took the strands of fur and went over to his microscope. He put a few drops of latex solution into a slide and then slid another slide over it to spread the solution around. He gently slid the slides apart and immediately put the strands of fur on it and allowed it to dry, undisturbed for 10 to 15 minutes. What is that liquid? Asked Zelda. It's a latex solution, or also known as nail polish remover, said Professor Hensley. Once the solution was nearly dry, he took a pair of tweezers to pull as much of the hair as possible off of the slide. He then put the slide under the microscope using low power and examined it. Well, one thing for sure, it's animal fur. How can you tell? Asked Magic. Human hairs usually have a thin or absent medulla region, which is less than 1/3 of the hair's diameter. Animals' hairs have thick medulla, or more than half of the hair's diameter. Wow, we have no idea what that means, said Magic. Take a look under the microscope. Zelda took a peek. How can you be sure? Professor Hensley reached over and grabbed another slide that he made from some human hair he had found in the rescue center. He slid both slides under the microscope and said, "If you look at both of these, you will see that one on the right is thinner, which is human hair, and the one on the left is thicker hair, so it's animal fur." Magic and Zelda each looked under the microscope and immediately saw the difference. "That's amazing," they said. "How can we tell if this is a suspect's fur?" asked Zelda. "Well, you have to get me a strand of the suspect's fur, and I compare the two side by side. That's the only way of identifying him." "No, but I will save the slide and label it so we have something to compare it to. I could also use a paw print, a toenail, saliva." "Saliva? You mean like drool?"
Spit.
asked Zelda. "Yes, drool. That would work beautifully. The more samples I have, the more certain I can be of identifying your suspect," he said. Zelda and Magic knew they had to gather more evidence.
He has lots of drool.
Later that evening, when Sherry, the volunteer, went home, Zelda and Magic were on a mission to try to get more evidence from CDOT. "How can we do this without him being suspicious?" asked Zelda. While Magic was tinkered with the cam, Zelda went over to Mama Jackie's computer. "What are you looking for?" asked Magic. "CDOT paw prints." "Clever idea," said Magic. She opened the top right drawer and pulled out a roll of Scotch tape with her magnifying glass. She inspected the area closely for paw prints. Magic chuckled and said, "Do you want me to get D-Man to help with the tape?" They laughed and Zelda said, "That's funny, but we shouldn't poke fun at Duracio's phobia." "Yeah, you're right. He's just a big lovable teddy bear," said Magic. She continued carefully looking for a paw print when suddenly she shouted, "Ah! I found it! I found one!" "Are you sure it's his?" asked Magic. "I am 99% certain it's CDOT's, because he hangs all over Mama Jackie and her computer when she's at her desk. It was in the bottom right-hand corner of the computer screen. Now all we need is some black powder and a small brush. Any idea what we can use?" asked Zelda. Magic had a genius idea. He opened the top drawer and grabbed a pencil, and then took a piece of paper and scribbled firmly in an area on the paper, creating a pile of loose graphite. "All we need now is a small brush of some kind," he said. "I can ask Coralie if she has one in her salon we can borrow," said Zelda. "Good idea," said Magic. She went out to the main area and quietly asked Coralie if she had a small brush she could borrow. "Sure, come with me," she said. They went to her salon and she opened a drawer that had all different sizes of brushes. "Which size do you need?" she asked. Zelda picked out the one she thought would work and said, "I promise I will return it." "Thanks, Coralie." She went back to Mama Jackie's office and showed Magic the brush. "It's perfect," he said. "Okay, I think we should record this part as collecting evidence." Zelda grabbed another piece of paper and wrote, "Scene 3, collecting the evidence." Magic picked up the cam and started recording the paper for a few seconds, and then he panned the camera over to Zelda, who continued by lightly brushing some of the loose graphite over the paw print, and then cut off a piece of tape and placed it over it. She pressed down firmly and peeled the tape off. Then she stuck the tape into a piece of paper, and there it was, perfect paw print. She held it up for the camera to get a closer look. "Cut." "Excellent job," said Magic. "We should give this to Professor Hensley in the morning to analyze," said Zelda. "In the meantime, we should try to get a sample of fur from CDOT," said Magic. They went out to the main area where he was sleeping in one of the beds. He whispered to Zelda that he would sneak over and try to get the sample. "Shh, be very, very quiet." Magic glided over to where CDOT was sleeping and looked to see if there were any loose hairs. Darn, nothing here, when suddenly CDOT started scratching in his sleep and several strands of fur came loose. Bingo! It was perfect timing. Magic slowly reached over and gently removed the loose fur. He was careful not to wake him or any of the other residents, or it would blow his cover. He quickly zoomed over to Zelda and said, "I got some." All they needed was something to put in it. Zelda went over and climbed on the counter and then quietly opened the drawer. She rummaged around and found a small plastic Ziploc bag. This will work, she thought. She went back over to Magic and they put the fur in it and sealed it. "We have to be careful we don't lose this," she said. "I will put it in a safe place until morning," said Magic. "Where are you going to put it?" asked Zelda. "I'm going to hide it under the pillow in my bed, and on that note, I think we should call it a night," he said. "I'm tired." "Yeah, me too. Night, Magic. Night, Zelda." They went to their beds and fell asleep.
The next morning, Zelda was sleeping on the counter waiting for Mama Jackie to come downstairs to make breakfast. She watched as C-Dot eagerly awaited her arrival. Seconds later, Mama Jackie opened the door and C-Dot jumped onto her shoulders. Zelda just shook her head. Wow, that boy is attached, she thought. She jumped off the counter and went over to Magic. "Good morning, Magic. I was thinking about breakfast. I was thinking after breakfast we should give our first sample and paw print to Professor Hensley to analyze for us. I was thinking the same thing. We should also meet with Elma and Lucy to see if they have any other information for us," said Magic. "Good idea," she said. They sat and watched as C-Dot rode around on Mama Jackie's shoulders. "I wonder if he learned that from Vernon," asked Zelda. "It's a good possibility," chuckled Magic. "Today we should try to get some drool from C-Dot," said Zelda. "I don't think that is going to be too hard," said Magic. "It sure won't. He drools on her keyboard when she does office work, so after they leave, we can go in and get a sample," said Zelda. Lots of drool.
Down her neck, into her shirt.
Everywhere. "What can we use to get the sample?" asked Magic. That's a great question. I will have to think about that," she said. After breakfast, they talked with Elma and Lucy. "Do you have any new information?" asked Zelda. "No, not yet," they replied. "I'm going to hang out in the bed up near the main area door," said Elma. "And I'm going to hang out in Mama Jackie's office for a while like I do every morning. Between the two of us, we should be able to get some information for you," said Lucy. "Sounds like a plan, and remember, do not let him see you watching him. We don't want to spook him," said Magic. Moments later, Mama Jackie picked up Lucy to bring her in the back. "That's my cue to head in back myself," said Lucy. He chased after Mama Jackie as she went into her office, but then he quickly came back. "What's the matter?" asked Zelda. "I don't think it's a good idea that I watch him too. I will let Lucy do that," he said. "We should go give the fur sample and paw print to Professor Hensley to analyze." They took the evidence and went to see him in the back thumper's room where he kept his microscope. "Morning, Hensley. What you doin'?" they asked. "Oh, just examining a snacker I found on the floor. It is quite fascinating to see how it looks under the microscope." "What can I do for you?" he asked. "We were able to gather some evidence last night for you to examine," said Zelda. She handed him the paw print and the fur sample. "Great job, guys," said Professor Hensley. He took the samples from them and proceeded to prepare them for analysis. "First, I will check the fur and compare it to the slide we saved." Zelda and Magic watched as he prepared the new slide. "Could you explain to us how this all works?" asked Zelda. "Certainly," said Professor Hensley. "First, the fur can be analyzed by determining the chemical makeup of the fur or extracting DNA from the fur follicle. It can also be analyzed, boy, we got smart cats.
I know.
It can also be analyzed through the use of the microscope or by simply comparing two or more strands of fur against one another. I will be checking the samples alongside one another to see if they share similar characteristics or if they come from the same source." They just looked at each other and Magic said, "You had to ask." Zelda just shrugged and said, "Well, I was curious." Professor Hensley continued preparing the slide, and as they waited, they asked him what the best way is to collect saliva, or in this case, drool evidence. Well, there are two ways. Depending on where it is located and how much is available will determine the method of gathering it. You could either use a small syringe or a Q-tip, but be sure to take care when preserving the evidence, especially if using the Q-tip. Moments later, the slide was ready to view, so Professor Hensley placed the two slides side by side and compared them. Are they the same? Asked Magic. Yes, they are an exact match. Take a look, he said. He let Zelda and Magic each look under the microscope to see for themselves. The one on the left is the one you gave me the other day, and the one on the right is the new sample. Wow, that's cool, said Zelda. If you can get me a drool sample, we will have plenty of evidence on your suspect, he said. We will do our best. Please hold on to the paw print in case we need it, said Zelda. Later that morning, Mama Jackie couldn't find some sticky notes she had on her desk. She looked around thinking maybe they were under something or fell on the floor, but no luck. They were gone. Darn, that little whippersnapper stole my notes. Meanwhile, Magic was around the corner recording the whole incident. He captured compelling information against CDOT. Moments later, Zelda went out to the main area to talk with Alma. She had some information on CDOT. What did you see? Asked Zelda. Alma told her that she saw CDOT run by her with pieces of small colored paper in his mouth. I couldn't tell exactly what they were, but I knew it was something he stole, she said. Did you see where he went? Asked Zelda. I saw him run into Patty's place, and then several minutes later he came out without them, so they must still be in there. Zelda immediately went to get Magic, and they headed into Patty's place to search for the missing sticky notes. As Magic started recording, they looked everywhere when suddenly Zelda found them stuffed underneath the bed. I found them. Great job, said Magic. They looked them over and realized they were wet with drool. Let's go give them to Professor Hensley right away and see if he can use these for possible DNA. They went back to the back thumper's room and gave the wet, sticky notes to Professor Hensley. I might be able to use these once they dry, he said. Once the drool dries, I will use various chemicals and enzymes to try to detect the drool. I will need another sample from the suspect. Here, take these Q-tips, and when you find some drool from him, wipe it with one of the Q-tips and bring it to me, and then I will have a sample to compare it to. But be careful not to contaminate it, he said. They took the Q-tips and headed back out to the main area, ready to collect some CDOT drool. I don't think that should be too hard, said Zelda. Magic laughed and said, yeah, he's like a faucet. When he gets within 2 feet of Mama Jackie, it flows like a river. True. I think the best place to gather it would be on her desk in the morning when she does office work, said Zelda. As soon as she walks away, we can quickly go over to her keyboard with the Q-tip and grab a sample. Good thinking, said Magic. Until then, they went to talk to Lucy to see if she had any information for them. She was lying in her bed in Mama Jackie's office. Hi, Lucy. Do you have any good dirt on CDOT? Asked Zelda. Magic hit the button on the cam and started recording. Well, I'm not sure, she said. What do you mean? Asked Magic. Instead of investigating him as your suspect, you should look into signing him up for the Olympics. Geez, that boy can jump from clear across the room right onto Mama Jackie's shoulder, said Lucy. It's like he has springs on his feet. He scares her half to death when he does that, she said. He's like a flying monkey, said it Magic. The only question I have is, will he or won't he? Asked Zelda. Lucy and Magic just looked at each other. Will he or won't he what? Asked Lucy. Oh, become a moss, said Zelda. Mama Jackie is determined to find that boy a home, but what she needs to accept is he already has found his home. Yeah, you're right, said Magic. Auntie Donna tells her all the time, but she doesn't want to believe it. Look at the bright side, said Lucy. Whenever something goes missing, we know exactly who to blame. They laughed because FFRC would have its very own thief, and an adorable one at that. Other than that, I saw him steal a pin just moments ago. He grabbed it right off her desk and ran by me with it in his mouth, said Lucy. Any idea where he went? Asked Zelda. No, but you could ask Elma, maybe she knows something. Magic stopped recording and they headed back out to the main area and over to where Elma was hanging out. Hey, Elma, did you see C-Dot run past you earlier with a pin in his mouth? Asked Zelda. Magic hit the record button. Sure did. He ran out into the welcome room and into the back thumper's room. You're sure? Asked Zelda. I am positive, said Elma. Here, let me help you. Come on, Magic, let's go check it out. He kept the camera rolling so as to capture the route. Along the way, they would look around for clues and the pin. If we find the pin and it is wet with drool, we can gather a sample so Professor Hensley has something to work with, said Zelda. They went into the back thumper's room and started searching for the pin. Magic recorded while Zelda searched. She looked everywhere when suddenly she moved the trash can and there it was. As Magic recorded, Zelda went to grab the pin when suddenly Magic yelled, "Stop! What's the matter?" asked Zelda. Is there any drool on it? Zelda looked closely with a magnifying glass and noticed it was laying in a small amount of clear liquid. I think there is. Grab me a Q-tip, please, said Zelda. Magic put the camera down while it was recording and went to grab one of the Q-tips that Professor Hensley gave them. Here you are, he said. Zelda took it and wiped some of the drool with it. I got some, she said, all excited. Get me something to put it in, please. Magic looked around and grabbed a tube with a cap next to Professor Hensley's microscope. Put it in this, he said. I hope that was okay. Zelda slid the Q-tip into the tube and put the cover on. I think we should take the pen as evidence too, she said. Can you find me something to pick it up with? Once again, Magic put the camera down while he was recording and went over to the counter to find something. He opened a drawer and found a pair of tweezers. Now all he needed was something to put the pen in. He continued rummaging through the drawer and found a bag of alcohol wipes. He emptied the bag into the drawer and gave the tweezers and the bag to Zelda. She took the tweezers and gently picked up the pin and slid it into the bag. Awesome, said Magic. They looked closely at the pin and could see it was wet with drool. We should go get Professor Hensley right away, said Zelda. I will go find him, said Magic. Be right back. Can you see from there? She's almost done.
A few minutes later, Magic returned with Professor Hensley and immediately started recording. Zelda handed him the tube with the Q-tip and the bag with the pen in it. Here is some drool evidence, she said. Let's have a look. He reached over and picked up a small bottle labeled amylase enzyme.
Close enough.
What's that stuff? Asked Zelda. This is amylase, and it is found in our body and produced by the salivary glands and the pancreas. It helps break down.
You're kind of stinky. She does. I'll go do her litter box.
I'm sorry. It helps break down the starch into simple, ready-to-use form of sugar. He removed the Q-tip from the tube and then took a dropper with some of the amylase. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Amylase solution and applied a few drops on it to the tip of the Q-tip. Whoa! It turned orange, said Magic. Next, Professor Hensley added a couple drops of iodine. Hey, now it's turning blue, said Zelda. What does all this mean? They asked. Well, it means that starch was detected in the saliva, telling me that your suspect either just ate a snacker or some dry cat food, he said. Now we look under the microscope. Professor Hensley looked at the Q-tip under high power and saw what he was looking for. Next I will test in the sticky note now that it's dry. He put a few drops of the amylase solution on the paper and then the iodine. Okay, now, hand me that bag with the pen in it, he said. Zelda handed him the bag and he carefully removed the pen with a pair of tweezers. He performed the same test on the pen as on the sticky note and the Q-tip. When they were ready, he looked under the microscope and wouldn't you know it, they all matched. Are they the same? Asked Zelda. Yes, they are the same. Here, take a look, said Professor Hensley. Both Zelda and Magic took turns looking under the microscope. Wow, that is amazing, said Magic. How did you learn all this? Asked Zelda. Oh, I just take samples of things I find from around the center and test them with different solutions, and then I read a lot. I have taught myself much more than just the basics, said Professor Hensley. You sure have, said Magic. I'm impressed. What kind of things do you test? Said Zelda. I tested a snacker, a piece of chicken I found on the floor before Kim cleaned, and even some yuck that Spiker tossed. Ew. That's gross, said Zelda. So what did you find in that? She asked. Well, either he ate too fast or it didn't agree with his stomach, resulting in a possible bellyache. That's disgusting, says Magic. His body couldn't break it down, so it came right back up. Not to worry. It happens to the best of us on occasion, he said. Zelda and Magic just made faces. Science is gross, said Zelda. So it looks like we have definitely identified your suspect. Is there anything else I can help you with? Asked Professor Hensley. No, not at the moment, said Magic. This case sure is odd, said Zelda. What do you mean? Asked Magic. It's backwards. We already know who the suspect is, so now we have to find the missing items instead of the missing items leading us to the suspect. I am not sure how to present this case. Any ideas? She asked. The three of them sat and tried to come up with a way to make this work. A while later, Magic spoke up and said, I have an idea. After we find the mask he stole, I could edit the recording to play differently than the way I recorded it. How will you do that? Asked Zelda. Simply, I download a program onto Mom and Jackie's computer and then upload the file. I can then edit the sections, adding titles, graphics, download them into a separate file, he said. That's a super idea, said Zelda. Do you think it will work? She asked. I'm not sure, but I'm willing to give it a try. What do you think, Professor Hensley? Asked Magic. He chuckled and said, not my department. I'll stick with the lab stuff. It's more exciting to me. Thanks for all your help, they said, as they walked back to the main area. Something caught Zelda's eye. Hey, what's that sticking out behind the door? It looked like one of Mom and Jackie's masks. Wait, let me record this, said Magic. With the camera in position, they walked over towards the door. Zelda reached over and grabbed the item sticking out. Bingo! It was one of Mommy Jackie's missing masks. Let's go give this to Professor Hensley. Maybe he can test it with that funny solution. Wait, never mind. We found the missing items, so that's the important part, said Zelda. I agree. We already know it's the mask C-Dot stole, said Magic. You know what else I think, said Zelda? I'm afraid to ask, but what? Asked Magic. We should have court and bring C-Dot to justice. Hey, yeah, we could get D-Man to be the judge, said Magic. Let's go ask him. They went back to the main area and over the rug where he was napping. Psst. D-Man, are you sleeping? Whispered Zelda. Huh? What's going on? Is it Chicky time? Said Horatio. No, wake up. We have to ask you something, she said. Zelda stretched and said, what's up, guys? Magic and I need to talk to you. It's important. He sat and listened as they explained everything, and then they asked if he would be the judge over the case. Horatio agreed so that meant C-Dot would have to be arrested and brought to trial. Have you guys arrested CDOT yet? Asked Horatio. No. We need a warrant for his arrest, said Zelda. Once you do that, let me know, and we can have an arraignment and set a date for the trial, said Horatio.
I'll protect them.
Poor baby.
Poor baby.
You have to arrest Jackie as an accomplice.
Right. Zelda and Magic headed back to Mom and Jackie's office, where they immediately went into the computer. We need a warrant, said Magic. He went online and downloaded a sample template. He filled it out and then printed it. This should work. Let's go serve him, he said. He handed the warrant to Zelda. Do your thing, Sherlock. They headed out to look for CDOT. They went over and asked both Alma and Lucy if they had saw him. The last I saw him, he was taking a tour of Mama and Jackie's shoulders, said Alma. I guess we should wait and arrest him tonight, said Zelda. As the day wore on, they started to prepare for the trial. Horatio would be the judge. Alma and Lucy would be witnesses for the prosecution. Once I arrest him, we will have a hearing to set a date for the trial, said Zelda. I will record the trial, and after he is charged and sentenced, I will edit the footage so that we have a case to email, said Magic. She held up a piece of paper and said, Scene 4, the arrest. And Magic recorded it. That night, when Barb, the volunteer, left, Zelda and Magic grabbed the warrant and headed over to CDOT, who was sleeping. With the cam in position, Magic nodded to Zelda. She taped CDOT and he awoke. She whispered, You're under arrest for stealing.
Oh, no.
His eyes grew big and he started to panic. As Magic recorded, CDOT knew he was busted. Come with us, please, said Zelda. He quietly got up and walked with them to Mom and Jackie's office. As they walked by the Dodgers pen, Vernon watched and heard the whole incident. Poor CDOT was being convicted of a crime. He needed a lawyer. I am arresting you for the crime of stealing. How do you plea? Asked Zelda. CDOT just sat, scared and speechless. Where should we lock him up for the night? Asked Magic. We will lock him up in Dodger's pen. They had Hensley and Vernon sleep out in the main area and put CDOT inside and locked the door. Tomorrow you will be arraigned and we will set a date for your trial. Magic stopped recording. Instantly, they felt overwhelmingly guilty. Poor little guy, he was scared to death. Are you okay? She asked. CDOT just sat shaking in the corner. Maybe we should tell him that this is just for a contest, said Magic. They sat with him and explained that this was all just a project for winning a contest, and they hoped he would help her. You're going to be famous, CDOT, said Zelda. Suddenly he got excited and agreed to help. What do you need me to do? He asked. Do exactly what you are doing now. It's perfect, she said. Do I get a lawyer for my trial? He asked. He's right, said Magic. He needs a lawyer. We will see what we can do about that in the morning. In the meantime, sleep here for the night so we have it all on record. Good night, CDOT.
My poor boy. The next morning, Magic let CDOT out of Dodger's pen before Mama Jackie came downstairs. Go ahead and wait at the door like always and act natural, said Magic. CDOT ran over and waited on the perch next to the counter as Zelda watched. Minutes later, Mama Jackie came through the door and he lunged towards her, landing on her shoulders. Zelda just smiled and winked at him. After breakfast, it seemed Vernon wanted in on the action, so he approached Zelda and Magic and told them he overheard the whole incident last night. So what is it you want, Vern? Asked Zelda. I want to be CDOT's lawyer, he said. You, a lawyer? Oh, they laughed at the idea. Oh, come on, I'm serious, he said. Okay, Vern, you can be CDOT's lawyer. After breakfast, you should go meet with your client since he is being arraigned today, said Zelda. Vernon went over to CDOT and told him he was going to be his lawyer and that they should talk in private. When breakfast was over, they went into the kitty cabana and sat on the couch to go over the case. CDOT explained that he was arrested on charges of stealing. Vernon sat all proud and said, "Rule number 1, listen to your lawyer. Rule number 2, say nothing. Rule number 3, do exactly as I tell you." "Got it?" asked Vern. "I've got it," replied CDOT. "Any idea who the judge is?" asked Vernon. CDOT just shrugged. "Wait here, I will be right back." Vernon made his way back to the main area and went over to Zelda and Magic. "I have a question. Who is the judge?" he asked. "DeRachel is the judge," said Zelda. "What time is the arrangement?" he asked. 10:00 a.m., she said. He went back to the kitty cabana and said, "D-Man is the judge, and you are going to be arraigned at 10 o'clock this morning. Let's review. You go before the judge and don't say a word. I will do all the talking. Understood?" "Understood," said CDOT. "You just relax and wait for me to come get you," said Vernon. Meanwhile, out in the main area, Zelda and Magic were setting up for the arraignment hearing. They pushed the table from under the cam out into the center of the room along with the stool. "We need something to use as a gavel," said Magic. He searched around and decided to ask Walter to make something they could use. He headed out to the covey area and asked him if he could make a wooden gavel along with a block called a sound block. That is the block that the judge hits the gravel with to call attention. "Sure thing," said Walter. "What's it for?" he asked. Magic explained the whole situation to him, and Walter said, "I want nothing to do with the law. I remember the time I wandered away for a bit. They found me sleeping in some tall grass. I almost got myself in a heap of trouble." Magic chuckled. "I will make something and bring it up shortly," said Walter. As 10 o'clock drew near, D-Man went to Coralie's hair salon to get spiffied up for the hearing. "Morning, Coralie." "Morning, D-Man. What can I do for you?" she asked. "Can you spiff me up for the hearing today? After all, I am the judge," he said. "Sure thing. Climb up in the chair." He leaned back and she draped a black cape over him. She washed his face and slicked his fur back with a little gel. "Not bad, D-Man. You look quite handsome," she said. "I do, don't I?" he replied. "Hey, I just had an idea. Can I borrow this cape for the arraignment?" he asked. "I would look like a judge with it." "Sure can," she said. "I have another one I can use." "Can you believe CDOT is being arraigned on charges of stealing?" asked Rachel. "Well, kind of, I guess, but the only thing he is really guilty of is stealing Mama Jackie's heart," said Coralie. "Yeah, you are so right," said Rachel. "How do I convict that poor guy for stealing?" "You don't," said Coralie. "I have a better idea." "What do you mean?" asked Rachel. Coralie explained the idea, and he thought it would be the best surprise. "I should talk with Zelda and Magic about this idea," said Rachel. "You are good to go then," said Coralie. He thanked her for the freshening up and for the cape and headed out to talk with them about Coralie's idea. They listened as he explained in detail what should take place, and they agreed. With only a few minutes before the hearing, Zelda went to talk to Vernon about Coralie's idea. "We will go on with the trial, but with this surprise ending." Surprisingly, Vernon agreed. She headed out to the main area where Magic was setting up the cam to record the hearing. "Is this going to mess up the contest for you?" asked Magic. "Well, not all trials end in a conviction, so we will have to wait and see," she said. Moments later, Judge DeRachel entered the main area wearing the black cape. "Nice touch, D-Man," said Magic. He climbed up and sat on the stool behind the table. All the other residents gathered around, not sure what was going on. Just then, Walter entered the main area and dropped off the homemade gavel and sound block. "Thanks, Walter. Nice job," said Rachel. He picked up the gavel and hit it on the sound block. "Order, order, please." Magic hit record as the hearing began. Will the accused please step forward? Vernon and CDOT approached the table. On 2 accounts of stealing, how do you plead? Asked Judge DeRachel. CDOT put his head down. Vernon spoke up and said, my client enters no contest, Your Honor. He chose this plea because CDOT does not want to admit guilt, yet he does not dispute the charges. Is the accused a flight risk, Counselor? Asked Judge DeRachel. No, Your Honor, said Vernon. I set the trial of CDOT versus FFRC for tomorrow at 9. At that time, you may call any witnesses you may have, said Judge DeRachel. I also suggest you pick your jury and brief them. Hearing adjourned as he hit the gavel on the sounding block. Vernon and CDOT immediately went to the Kitty Cabana to prepare for the trial while Zelda and Magic talked to the others about jury duty. After the hearing, each of the other residents were asked if they wanted to be on jury duty. Ramsey, Coralie, Kiara, Camby, Marilyn, Spiker, and Pania, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all agreed to be on the jury. They were briefed about the case and what they were planning for the outcome. Lucy and Alma were witnesses, and Asha would be the bailiff. Later that afternoon, Zelda went over to Mama Jackie's computer to print out a special paper. It was a document that would make everything official. She filled it out and then printed it and put it in an envelope to bring to the trial in the morning. Over in the Kitty Cabana, Vernon was coaching CDOT for the trial. No matter what, you have to show remorse, said Vernon. I have to convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt that you didn't know any better. Are you sure we can win? Asked CDOT. I will only say that the outcome will be the best for you and Mama Jackie. It is all in the jury's paws. Let's call it a day and go get some dinner. We will meet again in the morning, said Vernon. CDOT sat alone in the Kitty Cabana just thinking, is this trial all a game? Could he really go to jail? How could FFRC convict him for a crime that was pure love for Mama Jackie? I thought this was the happiest place on earth, he thought. Are they really going to try him in court, or is this really just a project for a contest for Zelda? He had so many thoughts racing through his mind because, truthfully, it felt very real. He stayed by himself the rest of the night and then headed to bed. Meanwhile, Magic spent the night editing the video into a presentable case filed for the trial. He began by downloading on editing software onto Mama Jackie's computer and then downloaded the footage they gathered. He edited and arranged the footage in a way that would best present the case. After several hours, he had a video that would prove what CDOT was guilty of. When morning came, CDOT didn't feel much like eating. He waited for Vernon to come get him so they could prepare one last time before the trial. Moments later, Vernon summoned CDOT to the Kitty Cabana. This is it. Are you ready? Asked Vernon. I guess so, said CDOT. You can do this, said Vern. Remember everything we talked about yesterday? Yes, but I'm nervous, said CDOT. I didn't sleep at all last night. Just remember one thing. It will all be for the best, said Vernon. CDOT was feeling a bit shafted by Vernon. What a lousy lawyer he turned out to be.
Oh, you want me to finish your sad story?
Oh no, we still have more pages.
It was now 8:55 a.m. and the jury was gathering in the main area for the trial. Magic had the cam set up and the table was set up with the gavel waiting on Judge DeRachel's arrival. The blue bench was turned so the witnesses could sit on it facing the jury during their testimonies. Vernon and CDOT sat up in the front. Asha stood in front waiting to instruct the court. The clock struck 9. Asha stepped forward and said, "All rise." The Honorable Judge Duratio will now take the table. For those that could not stand, they did so as Judge Duratio entered the room wearing the black cape he had borrowed from Cora Lee. You may be seated, he said. The trial of CDOT versus FFRC will now come to order. Counselor, do you have any opening statements? Asked Judge Duratio. Vernon stood and approached the table. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the facts that will be presented today are to convict my client of stealing. I ask you to look at exactly what was stolen and to ask yourselves, is this a crime of conviction to its highest degree? My only witness is the defendant, CDOT. Please think carefully at the evidence presented before you make your decision. That's all I have, Your Honor. Very well, said Judge Duratio. The court now calls FBI agent in training, Zelda, to the stand. She approached the bench as Asha walked over with a jar of Snackers and said, "Raise your right paw. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do," she responded. "You may be seated," said Asha. "Can you please give us your story of the events that brought us here today?" said Judge Duratio. Zelda began by saying, "I'm in training to be an official FBI agent, so I can better serve and protect FFRC. And I chose this case because of the clear-cut facts presented to me. Magic was my videographer and part-time agent, so he was present throughout the case. We gathered evidence which was given to Professor Hensley to be analyzed for authenticity and accuracy and recorded the case for your review." She looked at Magic, and that was his cue to roll the case file he produced on the TV. The judge and jury watched the video before any further witnesses were called. Judge Duratio commented on how well the case was documented. "You may step down, Zelda." The court now calls confidential informant number 1, Miss Alma. Magic helped her onto the bench. Asha approached her with a jar of Snackers. "Raise your right paw. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do," said Alma. "Can you please tell the court what you saw?" said Judge Duratio. "Each time I saw the accused CDOT run off with a stolen item, I realized there was something much deeper going on. There was no doubt he was caught in the act of stealing, but it was more than reason behind it that makes him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt." "Thank you, Miss Alma. You may step down, please." Magic helped Alma off the bench and over to her seat. The court now calls confidential informant number 2, Miss Lucy, to the stand. Magic helped Lucy up into the bench. Asha approached her with a jar of Snackers. "Raise your right paw. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do," said Lucy. "Could you please tell the court what you just saw?" "What I saw was the most amazing act of acrobats ever. That boy can jump clear across the room onto Mama Jackie's shoulders, but what I also saw was him caught in the act of stealing. I too witnessed the same as Alma, but it's the reason behind it that makes him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. As CDOT sat in his chair, he knew he was sold out by those he thought was his friends, and his lawyer, Vernon, was no better. He was mad. Thank you, Lucy. You may step down. Magic helped Lucy down. I now call on our final witness, Professor Hensley, to the stand. Asha approached him with the Snackers. I know the routine, and yes, I do, he said. For the record, Professor, please tell us what your analyzing of the evidence proved, says Judge Duratio. Upon my analyzing the fur and the drool samples, I concluded that they did in fact belong to the accused CDOT. The tests performed were accurate in determining my conclusion, said Professor Hensley. CDOT's heart sank.
He's in trouble.
I'm going to jail, he thought. I thought Zelda said this was all a project. What is going on here, he thought. Thank you, Professor. You may step down, said Judge DeRatio. Counselor, would you like to call CDOT to the stand? Asked Judge DeRatio. No, Your Honor, but I do have a closing statement. Very well, Counselor. You may proceed. Vernon stood up and approached the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw here today was indeed an act of crime. I ask you to look deep and ask yourself why. Could there be a reason behind this act committed by my client, or could he just be the best cat burglar in all of Defiance? Vern paced back and forth. With the evidence presented, it is important that you look at what the only verdict can be. The jury looked at Vernon as he winked and smiled. Nothing further, Your Honor. Very well. With that, I call for the jury to deliberate and come to a verdict. Judge DeRatio hit the gavel on the sound block. Zelda went back and grabbed the envelope with the paper she printed while Magic went to get Mama Jackie. Vernon went over to CDOT and said, "It's almost a new beginning for you." CDOT didn't say a word. He was convinced he was going to jail.
Poor boy.
It sounded like Vernon was trying to convict him. He was supposed to be defending him. CDOT couldn't fathom the idea of no more Mama Jackie. And at that moment, he realized he was guilty. He was guilty of loving her with all his heart for all she had done for him. Could this stealing act of love be what labeled him a criminal? What would he do now? They're going to read the verdict soon. Vernon didn't even let him say anything in his own defense. He sighed and would know his future shortly. Do you want me to read you your guys's?
What page is it on? No, I'll read a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. After 30 minutes later, the jury was ready with their verdict. As everyone gathered back in the main area, they were waiting for Judge DeRatio to return to the table. He was on a snack break in his chambers. Asha stepped forward. All rise. Judge DeRatio entered the room and sat at his table. Please be seated. Seconds later, Maggie came through the door with Mama Jackie. What is all this? She asked. Has the jury reached a verdict? Asked Judge DeRatio. Canby stood up and said, We have, Your Honor. Asha walked over and took the paper from her. It was the paper Zelda gave her during their deliberation. Asha gave it to Judge DeRatio. He read it and asked CDOT to please stand. Oh, he's probably shaking in his paws. Zelda called Mama Jackie forward and explained that CDOT was on trial for stealing. We wanted to help you make the decision you have been having a hard time making. What decision is that? Asked Mama Jackie. Judge DeRatio spoke up and said, CDOT, we the residents of FFRC find you guilty of stealing Mama Jackie's heart, and we declare that she adopts you and makes you an official Moss. Oh. Just then, CDOT realized he wasn't going to jail and that he now belonged to Mama Jackie. He was so excited he jumped clear across the room and onto her shoulders. Everybody cheered, and Mama Jackie admitted she had actually made up her mind that she was in fact going to adopt CDOT.
Finally.
Judge DeRatio hit the gavel on the sounding block and said, You are now officially a Moss. Court is adjourned. Everyone was so happy for Mama Jackie and CDOT. She hugged and kissed him, and it was at that moment that he knew he would be loved and cared for the rest of his life. Zelda and Magic just watched as the scene came to a close. Magic paused the cam and asked, Do you still want to submit the case file in the contest? She thought about it and said, Yes, I do. I know it is not your typical case, but I think it is worth a shot. In that case, I will continue editing and adding the footage from the trial, and you can review it with me tomorrow. If you like it, you can submit it, he said. Sounds like a plan, said Zelda. Magic spent the rest of the day editing the video, and by evening, he created an award-winning case file for Zelda to submit in the contest. I love this. The next day, Zelda reviewed the final, are we talking about you? Final video, and it was fantastic. Wow, Magic, you did an amazing job on this. It looks professional, said Zelda. Maybe it will win an Academy Award. Magic laughed and said, thank you for your kind words, and I am glad you like it. But let's just stick to winning the contest. If you win, that is good enough for me, he said. Well then, wish me luck, said Zelda. She wrote an email with her contact information and attached the case file. Keep your fingers crossed. She hit sent, and the email sent. Now we wait, she said. When are they supposed to announce the winner? Asked Magic. The winner will be announced on Monday, she replied. Over the next few days, Zelda waited and hoped that she had won. It was nerve-wracking waiting, and it felt like forever before Monday would come. How are you holding up? Asked Magic. I'm doing okay. I'm trying to keep myself busy and not think about it, she said. I have an idea. Let's gather the others and go watch a movie, said Magic. That sounds like fun, said Zelda. They gathered in the kitty cabana with the biggest bowl of popcorn you ever saw and watched Disney's That Darn Cat. It was a crime-solving mystery, so it fit the moment. By the time the movie ended, they fell fast asleep. It was finally Monday morning, and Zelda was both nervous and excited. Would she get a phone call saying that she won the contest? She really wanted to become an official FBI agent. And it would make her feel like she was serving and protecting FFRC. After all, she wanted to do something important too. After breakfast, Coralie offered to give Zelda a pedicure to take her mind off things, so she accepted. Isn't Coralie wonderful? She went to Coralie's salon and enjoyed some much-needed relaxation and pampering. They talked about the case and how cute Vern was as C-Dot's lawyer. It was a clever idea how the case of stealing was turned into an adoption. That was a wonderful idea you had, Coralie. Well, if you think about it, Zelda, it's like you said, C-Dot stole Mama Jackie's heart. It just seemed to fit the crime of stealing. They laughed since it really wasn't a crime. I think you have a good chance of winning the contest, said Coralie. You think so? Asked Zelda. Absolutely. You showed a different side of crime, not just the bad part. This turned out positive and made everyone happy, so I think the judges of the contest will take that into consideration, said Coralie. I hope you're right, said Zelda. Later that afternoon, the phone rang at the rescue center, and Denise answered it. It was for Zelda. She went over to the counter where she was talking with Magic and DeRachel and handed her the phone. Phone call for you. They looked at each other with anticipation. This is it, the moment you have been waiting for, said Magic. Zelda just stood there. Go ahead, answer it, said DeRachel. She took the phone and said, Hello, this is Zelda. Good afternoon. This is one of the judges from the contest you entered. I am calling to congratulate you on being the winner. Zelda was so excited. We must admit the case file was different, but we were very pleased with the outcome of the case. You presented it in a way that was very impressive and intriguing. Congratulations. Someone will be in touch with you to let you know when the course begins. You have a wonderful day. You as well, and thank you, said Zelda. She hung up the phone and shouted, I won! I won! Wow, that's incredible, said Magic. Let's gather everyone and tell them the great news. All the residents gathered in the main area. Zelda stood on the counter and told everyone that she won the contest and was now on her way to becoming an official FBI agent. I want to thank Magic for being my videographer and for doing an amazing job on the editing. It made all the difference. Also to Elma and Lucy for being our confidential informants. You were our eyes and ears. I would also like to thank Professor Hensley for his outstanding lab work on the evidence, and to Vernon for being CDOT's lawyer. To Rachel, you were an awesome judge. You look very handsome in your black robe. Finally, thanks to Asha for being the bailiff, and to all the members of the jury. I couldn't have done this without you all. Everyone was so proud of Zelda. FFRC would soon have its very own FBI agent looking out for them. Suddenly, Mama Jackie came in the room with CDOT riding on her shoulders. There goes one happy boy, said Zelda. Who would have thought loving someone and stealing their heart could be considered a crime, said Magic. Yeah, and the punishment ended with being adopted, said Rachel. They laughed, and Zelda said, I'm good with that as long as those are the only crimes I will ever have to solve. The end. And look at this, Zelda. You did it. You got it. That's you. And there's her proof. Cindy, you are awesome and amazing and wonderful, and I love this. This will be one of my biggest treasures ever because it's got both of my kitties in it. Zelda and CDOT. Of course I knew it was about Zelda, but I didn't know CDOT was in this. So that's pretty cool. I love this very much, Cindy.
Very awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to put this one in here so we keep track of one of them. So hold your thoughts on a possible book for you until I get back with Cindy to find out what her thoughts are on that, okay? Yeah, and we do have some other books of Cindy's that we still have, a couple different varieties. Maybe we could put those in a flash sale too. Pull them out. Alrighty. You all take care. Cindy, you are really awesome.
What a lot of work.
What a
Yeah.
lot of work. And how she brings the other books into this book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the professor and Corley, the hairdresser, and
And the proper techniques to test the samples.
yeah,
and
yeah,
the, you know,
yep.
words
And,
that Lynnette cannot pronounce.
Magic and Magic with being the radio guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Zelda, that was really awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, CDOT's lucky.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate you. Yeah, I agree. That was the best story ever. Yeah. Well, you ready to get pushed back? You want to go to your drawer? You're all welcome. We've enjoyed it. I'm sorry it took me so long to get that read. But I'm kind of glad too, because how appropriate on Zelda's birthday to read her story. Yeah. You ready, huh? I'll push you over, and then you've had boxes up for over an hour and a half, you special girl.
So how old is she?
She's 11. Yeah. Come on. You ready, pretty girl? Oh, you're my girl.
Annie
Alright.
turned 13.
Which one did?
Annie.
Annie did? Wow.
Leah was close behind.
There you go, pretty girl.
Oh,
You like
Hensley, you're gonna.
Like her new bed?
Yeah.
Well, hi, Hensley.
Hard to get used to though, having it out.
Yeah, I put the tape there so it wouldn't sprint out all the way. Yeah. Yep, Thursday night trivia. That's tonight, 6 o'clock, folks. Enjoy. Those trivias are the best.
I picked up the place because Greg showed